All right, so this is just a quick walkthrough of some important but relatively small updates that I've made to the Thorne Labs Tour Template. Used to be called Musician OS Tour Template, now called Thorne Labs because I've just had to sort of expand the scope of what I'm doing. But with that said, if you already have downloaded this template, you're going to need to download it again to get these updates. They don't just like auto-populate to the templates that you already have. And if you haven't got this template yet, there'll be a link in the description for you to check it out. But in the meantime, I'm just going to walk through some of these updates, which essentially have actually been feedback from tour managers and other music professionals about what they would like to see. And then along with a few other things that I have realized were missing and also just could be sort of better organized. So I'm not going to do a deep dive into the entire template because I've got another video on that already. This is just to kind of touch on the updates and how they improve this template, in my opinion. So the first thing has been to make use of conditional colors. So I think especially with tour managers when they're on the road, there's a lot going on, and anything that can just simplify the process of seeing what's happening at a glance, I think is a big improvement. So you can see here that there's a conditional color for performances, flights, and accommodation. And if it's green, this means that it's happening today, right? So it's just set to the relative of today. And then as soon as this is tomorrow, this will no longer be green, this one will become green. And this becomes especially useful if you come to the Itinerary tab here. You can see that the entire board, which is now organized not by day, but by date. And I think it really just improves the way this whole thing sort of flows. This was a really good feedback from a tour manager who I've been working on this for as well. And you can see here that this is all going to be green. There's a new timeline view here, which will also be marked as green for everything that's happening on this specific day. And of course, you can always come into the settings and you can adjust any of these properties that you would like to see as it is here. But the way that I've sort of imagined this now is that if you are the tour manager or the person who's organizing this tour, this is the view that you are going to see. And there's a separate view now specifically for people on the tour. And this was one thing that was lacking from the template previously, which I think is crucial, is that when you're dealing with a lot of people as a tour manager, one of the important things that you're trying to do is to stop double handling stuff, right? So you want to be able to enter information in one place and then everyone's getting the updates that they need. And this is what I was sort of trying to do with the personnel view previously, but it was a little bit half-baked. And what I've done now is if you actually click on any of the personnel, I've added the itinerary, the flights, and the performances to each person's view. And based on whether they are linked specifically with any itinerary action or any flight or any performance will determine whether this information actually shows up for them. This is very cool because it means that you can go share, copy this link, and send a link to each person in the tour party, and they're only going to see the information that actually relates to them. Awesome. So let's actually have a look at how that works. So if we come back to the itinerary here, you can see that we have these different itinerary options. If you click on any of these, you can see that we have a relation to the personnel database, and you can just simply add or remove anyone that you need here. So if this was only for Eugen, you would only put Eugen. If it's for both Eugen and Thorne, you'll put both of them. As soon as we're doing that, that is going to be auto updating in the personnel section. So if we see here with Eugen, she's got these. If we were to remove her from this one, all of a sudden you come back in here and it's gone. Voila. So what this means for a tour manager is that you need to be quite careful to ensure that you're linking all of the different personnel with all of the different things that you want them to see. And when you're actually sharing the page with them, obviously you're just going to share, not duplicate as a template. You're going to adjust this section to just make sure that all they're doing is seeing like a view only. This looks good on mobile, it looks good on computer as well. And it's been simplified in a way where it's trying to be stupid proof, because I know as an artist myself, if you're hungover or you're rushed or like just whatever it is, you're just getting a lot of like sensory stimulus. Sometimes you can overlook things and you end up asking your tour manager like, hey, what am I doing here? What am I doing here? And it really can piss a tour manager off when that's happening like at scale. So the other thing I've done here is just organize the information of each of the personnel. You can see here that it's possible to still see this information and adjust this information if you're the tour manager. But for the person that you send this to, say the artist in this case, they're going to be able to see all of this stuff, but they won't be able to make any of the changes to the information. You will have to be the one to do that. Now, there is a whole nother discussion to be had around permissioning. If you want people to actually be able to edit some stuff and then actually have some control, you need to set up permissions. You need to put this template into a team space, add them to the team space, get the whole sort of permission scaffolding sorted correctly, which is way beyond the scope of this video, just to let you know that is possible. But the simplest and also cheapest way is to do it this way, where you're just sharing this as a web page and sending each person their own specific update. But the one important thing that you need to do is if you're adding a new artist, so let's put a person in here. We don't need to do that. You can see here that by default, Tom Black, our second artist, is going to be seeing everything unfiltered. And so what we need to do is we actually have to come in here and look at the filter, click on personnel, and then add Tom Black. And that means he's now going to be getting the filter view. So you need to do this for every single personnel on the team. You need to create a personnel page for them. And then you need to come through and you need to go step by step through each of these. Just click on personnel, Tom Black, save, come down here again, personnel, Tom Black, save, voila. So we can see that he's not getting anything now. But if we come back and we click on a performance and we add Mr. Tom Black, you can see here, voila, we add him in. And let's also add him to a few itinerary items just to kind of drive the point home. Oopsie. And then we'll do the same here with departing to the airport. We add another guy, Tom Black, voila, boom, boom, boom. And then if you come back to tour and we come back to personnel, we can see Tom Black. What do you know about that? Stuff is populated. And this is really the only little bit of manual stuff you need to set up in the beginning. You just need to make sure that each personnel is linked with all of these different linked databases within their page. And they are then only going to be able to see this. But that means you can have complete control of everything that you want them to see and you don't want them to see. And as things are getting completed, one of the other things that I've added to the itinerary as well is the ability to archive a thing. So when this is actually done and you select archive, it's going to disappear from view. And this needs to be done on a sort of day-to-day basis, just so that when they're scrolling, they're seeing the most recent date. Otherwise, this color will just kind of move from arrive airport to this date to this date. And you'll still see the other ones. So that's just another thing to note there. You just need to archive them as they are getting complete. And so this is the big update. It's just way better use of Notion to help manage a team from one central location. So like the tour manager, AKA you, is gonna have a central source of truth for everything. You're controlling everything in one place, and that's just updating everyone else's pages as they need to. Again, the power of Notion and linking things. This is what you know about me. If you watch my other videos, I really love this whole aspect of it. The next thing that I want to touch on in a future video is how you can actually use AI to take a flight confirmation PDF and automatically add that to your flight database as well. This is important to reduce any sort of human error and also just a huge time saving. If you can imagine booking flights for 5 to 10 people and having to manually enter all of their flight information, as you can see, there's a lot of different flight information that needs to be added in. So with AI using an MCP server, don't worry if you don't know what that means, you're able to just get the PDF, pop it in and say, add to my flight database, and it just goes, and when I tested this, it blew me away. So look forward to that in a future video. But for now, that is it, and I'll see you again very soon.